turn to section 4.
You will hear lecturer talking about the revival of lost languages through art.
First, you have some time to look at question 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer question 31 to 40.
In recent years, art has emerged as a powerful tool for reviving and preserving languages that are on the brink of extinction or have already been lost. These endangered languages hold cultural knowledge, unique expressions, and histories that often cannot be translated into dominant languages. Artists, linguists, and cultural activists are collaborating to breathe life back into these languages through visual art, music, literature, and digital media. One of the key ways artists contribute to this revival is by incorporating endangered languages into their work. Murals, paintings, and sculptures often feature words and phrases from native languages to spark curiosity and encourage public engagement. For example, in Australia, contemporary artists have created large-scale installations featuring Aboriginal languages, turning public spaces into cultural reminders of the country's indigenous heritage. Music is another influential medium for language revival. Indigenous musicians are composing songs in their ancestral tongues, blending traditional melodies with modern sounds. These efforts not only keep the language alive but also appeal to younger generations, making them proud custodians of their linguistic heritage. In Mexico, for instance, hip-hop groups perform in the indigenous language of Nahuatl, creating a fusion of tradition and contemporary culture. Digital technology has further accelerated these efforts. Language learning apps, online dictionaries, and social media campaigns promote endangered languages to global audiences. Through virtual exhibitions and interactive art experiences, even remote communities can share their languages and stories with the world. However, challenges persist. Many of these languages were historically suppressed by colonial governments or marginalized by dominant cultures, leading to stigma or shame around speaking them. Overcoming this stigma requires sustained community involvement and education. Additionally, documentation is difficult when fluent speakers are few and often elderly. Despite these obstacles, art continues to serve as a bridge between generations, bringing pride and visibility to marginalized languages. The revival of lost languages through creative expression is not just about words, it is about preserving the cultural identity and heritage that those words represent.
That is the end of section 4. Now, you have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4.
You will hear lecturer talking about the growing trend of ethical consumerism.
First, you have some time to look at question 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer question 31 to 40.
Ethical consumerism, also known as conscious consumerism, is a rapidly growing trend shaping markets and consumer behaviors worldwide. It refers to the practice of purchasing products and services that align with one's values, such as environmental sustainability, fair labor practices, and animal welfare. As more people become aware of social and environmental issues, they seek to make informed purchasing decisions that support ethical business practices. One major factor driving this trend is the increased access to information. The rise of social media and digital transparency allows consumers to learn about how products are made, the environmental impact of manufacturing processes, and the working conditions of laborers. Documentaries and advocacy campaigns have further highlighted issues like deforestation, child labor, and pollution, prompting consumers to reconsider their purchasing habits. Brands are responding to this demand by adopting more ethical practices, such as sourcing raw materials responsibly, reducing carbon footprints, and ensuring fair wages for workers. Certifications like Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance, and cruelty-free labels provide consumers with assurance that products meet specific ethical standards. Companies that once focused solely on profit are now integrating sustainability as a core value to attract socially conscious buyers. However, the rise of ethical consumerism is not without challenges. One of the main barriers is the higher cost often associated with ethically made products. Consumers may find it difficult to prioritize ethical choices when budgets are tight. Additionally, the phenomenon of greenwashing, where companies falsely market products as environmentally friendly, can mislead consumers and undermine trust. Despite these challenges, ethical consumerism continues to grow. Studies show that younger generations, particularly millennials and Gen Z, are driving this trend by holding brands accountable and advocating for sustainable practices. They are willing to pay a premium for products that align with their values and expect transparency from businesses regarding their operations. In the future, as more businesses adopt sustainable models and regulations tighten around ethical practices, the line between ethical and standard products will blur. Ethical consumerism is not just a trend but a shift in how society views its responsibility toward the planet and each other.
That is the end of Section 4. Now, you have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 4.
You will hear lecturer talking about the impact of cultural heritage on modern architecture.
First, you have some time to look at question 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer question 31 to 40.
Cultural heritage plays a crucial role in shaping the architecture of modern times, reflecting the identity, history, and values of a community. Around the world, architects blend traditional design principles with contemporary innovations to create structures that honor the past while serving the needs of the present. One of the most prominent influences of cultural heritage on architecture is evident in building materials. In many regions, traditional materials such as stone, clay, and wood are used alongside steel and glass to create buildings that reflect both historical craftsmanship and modern aesthetics. For example, the incorporation of locally sourced sandstone in modern Indian architecture symbolizes respect for traditional construction while reducing environmental impact. Architectural styles are another area where cultural heritage finds expression. Elements such as arches, domes, and courtyards, which have been staples of historical design, are reinterpreted in modern buildings. Islamic architecture's intricate geometric patterns and arches can be seen in contemporary structures throughout the Middle East. Similarly, in Japan, modern minimalist designs often incorporate traditional elements like sliding doors and tatami mats to maintain harmony with cultural ideals. Moreover, the preservation and adaptive reuse of heritage buildings are growing trends. Converting old industrial sites into residential spaces or transforming palaces into hotels showcases how cultural landmarks can be given a new purpose while retaining their historical significance. These practices not only preserve architectural heritage but also contribute to sustainable urban development. Cultural identity is also emphasized through architectural symbolism. Modern government buildings, museums, and cultural centers often feature design elements that convey national pride and historical narratives. For instance, the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., incorporates architectural motifs inspired by African art and culture. However, balancing tradition and modernity presents challenges. Architects must consider how to seamlessly integrate historical motifs without compromising functionality or innovation. As cities grow and modernize, the preservation of cultural heritage within architectural design will remain a vital conversation. Through thoughtful architectural choices, cultural heritage continues to inspire modern structures, providing a sense of continuity and connection to the past while embracing the technological advances of the future.
That is the end of Section 4. Now, you have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 4.
You will hear lecturer talking about the impact of the gig economy on traditional employment.
First, you have some time to look at question 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer question 31 to 40.
The rise of the gig economy has significantly impacted traditional employment, reshaping how people work and how companies hire. Characterized by short-term, flexible jobs often facilitated through digital platforms, the gig economy has brought both opportunities and challenges to the modern workforce. One of the key benefits of the gig economy is flexibility. Workers can choose when, where, and how they work, which appeals to those seeking autonomy or balancing other responsibilities like caregiving or education. Popular platforms like Uber, Fiverr, and Upwork have created avenues for freelancers to earn income without the constraints of a typical 9-to-5 job. However, this shift has also raised concerns. Gig workers often lack the stability and benefits that traditional employment provides, such as health insurance, paid leave, and job security. As more companies opt to hire freelancers or contractors rather than full-time employees, the traditional employer-employee relationship is being redefined. In many cases, this leads to lower costs for businesses but leaves workers vulnerable to economic instability. Another major challenge is income unpredictability. In contrast to salaried employees, gig workers face fluctuating earnings based on demand, client availability, and market trends. This volatility can make it difficult for individuals to plan financially or secure loans and mortgages. Despite these challenges, some experts argue that the gig economy promotes innovation and competition. By connecting talent to global markets, workers can find opportunities beyond their geographic limitations and develop specialized skills in niche areas. Companies benefit from access to a broader talent pool without being constrained by local hiring limitations. Governments and policymakers are increasingly grappling with how to regulate this growing sector to ensure fair treatment for gig workers while maintaining the benefits of flexibility. Discussions around the classification of gig workers as independent contractors versus employees continue to evolve, with potential implications for labor laws and economic policies worldwide. In conclusion, the gig economy has transformed traditional employment by fostering innovation and flexibility, while also challenging established norms around job security and worker rights. As this trend continues, finding a balance between innovation and protection will be essential to shaping the future of work.
That is the end of Section 4. Now, you have half a minute to check your answers.